Here is an overview of the Cwicly Image Block. The Cwicly Image Block is a great way for you to put forward information visually and can be critical as to whether your website is aesthetically pleasing. Unlike a background image or an image div, the image block uses the image tag to notify the search engines that it is an image. We can simply add an image block to our section by selecting it and opening the Add Block property and selecting the image block. Let's start by setting up an image, which can be done in the source panel. You can choose to either directly type in / paste in your image's URL, or you can select the Media Library search icon, which will open up your WordPress media library, allowing you to upload and store all your media content for later use. However, we recommend to use media library images as the image ratio will be known to Cwicly, which allows us to reduce CLS by reserving the image space before it is loaded. When we talk about CLS, which stands for Cumulative Layout Shift, we're talking about a performance metric that determines and measures the unexpected shifting of web elements while the page is being rendered. This measurement is then quantified as an aggregate score of all the individual layout shifts on your page. CLS is also one of the metrics that make up Google's Web Vitals. Basically, using images from the media library will avoid a negative visitor experience and, most importantly, won't negatively impact your site's search engine ranking because of CLS. You can select an existing image present in your media library or upload an image through the Upload Files button, or drag the image directly into the media library. Once you've found the perfect image, all you need to do is press the Select button. As expected, our image block now displays a pleasant image. In the Source Settings panel, we can observe that the source of an image can either be static or dynamic. A static image source will rely on a static URL provided by you, the user. It will not update automatically depending on the source and relies on manual changes. On the other hand, a dynamic image source allows you to specify an image source that might change depending on the different parameters available or set at the time. Thus, it will update automatically and relies on WordPress dynamic data as well as ACF Pro. ACF, which stands for Advanced Custom Fields, is a tool you can use to quickly set up dynamic elements. Before we set a dynamic image, we can notice the Image Alternative text space. Image Alt is a description you can add to images in web pages to assist blind and visually impaired people using a screen reader. However, it isn't exclusively an accessibility feature, but can also be used for SEO reasons, which stands for Search Engine Optimization. The Image Alt can be used to describe the images for search engines, for them to better understand the context of the image and what it represents, since naturally they can't see images. Using keywords is the way to go when filling an image alt. Now let's move on to making this image dynamic. As mentioned previously, a dynamic image source allows you to specify an image source that might change depending on the different parameters available or set at the time. If we set the data to WordPress, we can choose between different options, such as the featured image of our post, our site's logo, the author profile picture, or the user profile picture. Let's say we select Featured Image. Nothing appears differently, but that's because the current post we're editing on doesn't have a featured image. We can quickly set one up in the Post settings and then in the Featured Image panel. Then we can update our page so that what we have set is registered and updates the data we're relying on. And voila! Our image now displays our dynamically set featured image. Now we can set the data to ACF. However, the ACF group field is empty since we haven't created one for our image block. First, we can update this page and exit it. In the WordPress dashboard, we can quickly set up an ACF Field Group by heading to the Custom Fields tab. Here, we can select the Add New button at the top to add a new field group. Once you have added an appropriate field group name, you can select the Add Field button. You can set a field label and set the field type to image. We can leave the return format, which specifies the format of the returned data, to image array, since it contains more information. We won't be specifying anything more, but as you can see, you can be as specific as you like. Don't forget to publish your field group. Let's now head back to our previous page. As you can see, now when we open the ACF group and field dropdowns, our freshly created group appears. However, for the moment, our image will not change, since we haven't added any image to our ACF field. We can quickly do so by selecting the arrow on the right-hand corner and select the Add Image button. You can choose any image from your media library and even optionally directly upload files. Then you can push the Select button to upload them to the ACF Image Block field. Then, to see this dynamically set image, remember to update your page. And voila! Our expected image appears. In the source panel, below the ACF field property, we can see the object property. For an image, Cwicly automatically sets the object property by default. So in this case, we don't have to specify anything. But if this were not an ACF image field, you would have to specify the element/index you want to target. Below this property, we can see the location property. If we select its dropdown, we can see several options of locations to pick and choose from. The location allows you to choose where the data is picked up from, either the current post, a specific post which can be specified with a post's ID, etc. For a specific use case, we will leave the location to current. However, I could quickly demonstrate that if I select the post ID and type in a post ID which I have already set an image in the ACF Field Group, that image appears and updates automatically. This is just to give you an idea of how simple and effortless it is to pick up data from other posts. Lastly, we can see the Fallback image property, which allows you to set a fallback image, which is an image that will be displayed if no image can be found or cannot be retrieved for any reason. You can set this fallback image by either directly entering an image URL or by selecting either the media library search icon or the Set Image Fallback area, which will both open up your media library. Once you have set your image and chosen the appropriate and desired source type, you can style and format your image block. In the Primary tab, in the Sizing panel, we can modify the height, width, and object fit of our image block. As you can see, by default, Cwicly automatically sets a no-to height and 100% width. This is done in order to preserve a proportionate aspect ratio. Of course, you can set a specific height or width depending on what you want your image to look like. However, we recommend to always have at least either the width or height be set to auto in order to preserve a correct aspect ratio. So let's say I want a 400 pixel width image, I will also set the height to auto. Conversely, if I want a 400 pixel height image, I will also set the width to auto. However, our image currently looks squeezed, which brings us to a key feature: object fit. Object fit is used to specify how the image is to be resized according to the set dimensions, in order for it to fit. Of course, the way in which it fills the area depends on whether it preserves the ratio or stretches the image in order for it to take up as much space as possible. These differences are reflected by the different object fit options available. For example, if we select the Contain Object Fit, our image gets resized to an aspect ratio appropriate size. Conversely, the Cover Object Fit stretches the image for it to take up as much space as possible, and so on for the other properties. Finally, above the Sizing panel, we can see the H animation dropdown, which stands for hover animation, and is a way to apply preset generic hover animations to your image block. There is a large variety to choose from, which is great to quickly add movement to your image. Naturally, most of these hover animations can be achieved manually by setting up your own hover animations, with the use of the advanced properties and of course relative styling, which can make for more original hover effects. Below this setting is the lazy load toggle, which once toggled will only load this image block until the current user has scrolled down to the part of the page that contains the image. It's an efficient way to improve your site's performance and save system resources, especially if your site is full to the gills with image blocks. To better demonstrate this feature, we can head to another page where I have added a good number of image blocks with the lazy load property toggled. Let's see the effect of this property on the front end. So if I clear my assets and scroll down to my images, you can see them being loaded only when needed, which is to say, when I have scrolled down to them, but before they appear in my viewport. You can further the personalization of your image block in the Advanced tab of the Block Inspector by adding a border radius or a border, an outline, an animate on scroll, transforms, filters, interactions, etc. Let your customization and imagination run wild. On a final side note, we can observe that the image block cannot contain or be a link by itself. We prefer leaving it up to the user to wrap the image block, if needed, with a div that will then play the role of the link wrapper. Of course, we provide a shortcut for this, using the Gutenberg transform property in the image toolbar. And that's how the Cwicly Image Block works.